What's going on, guys? D-Star back again. I know it's been a long time, and today we're going to review a RAPID Parawave, which is a synth that I got for free, and that does not mean it's not going to get an honest review. So they hit me up after seeing the Faceplant review, and they were like, hey, could you guys do one for our synth? And I was actually really excited because there was a point in time where I did want to buy this synth. I think my taste in synths has changed quite a bit, and I probably wasn't really looking to buy it now because I'm pretty happy with Faceplant and Serum, but this is going to be a cool review, and I think this synth is pretty awesome now that I've reviewed it. Don't mind my little notes on the side here I made so I could reference them. And yeah, so right off the bat, this thing's pretty similar to that Vengeance synth Avenger in the sense that it has 8 tabs and each one is a separate synth, which is pretty awesome. I made some crazy bass sounds, which that's what I do with pretty much every synth nowadays, is just make crazy bass sounds, and I'll play through the bounces of them. So that was fun. Those are like the ones that I bounced when I was playing with it. Here's the patch for this one. And yeah, this thing's pretty crazy. It comes with a ton of wavetables by default, which you can use to, you know, make crazy sounds like me. And the modulation is really awesome, really easy to use. The one tab design is awesome. Everything is all on one tab. There are 8 tabs, but these are all separate synthesizers. So like for this, I have a saw, or a sub rather, going out, and it's just kind of unaffected by all the processing that's happening down here. Really cool. So I would liken this to Avenger, but I like the usability of this way more than I liked Avenger. I tried Avenger, I actually own Avenger, and I never use it, and I really was excited for it, but I just find programming Avenger a burden. So right off the bat, one of the pros of this is I do enjoy programming this synth a lot more, and I think it has more capabilities than Avenger in some ways, but both of them are very similar. It's a very preset forward synth. And what I mean by that is there's just a ton of presets in it. And I really think for guys who still love to like go through presets and stuff, I'm kind of, nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging you guys. I didn't mean to sound derogatory, but I tend to like to program my own synths now a lot more than I do use presets. That said, there's a lot of presets in here. So the preset browser is crazy. There's a lot of presets. You can make your own folders. There's also a lot of effects presets and a lot of like templates to start with. And there's also full tutorials in the preset browser, which is pretty crazy. The arpeggiation is crazy. You can drag MIDI in and out of RAPID. And what I mean by that is you can go, it takes a second to load these presets. They're pretty in depth. And you can go into the sequence and the art right here, and you can actually drag MIDI in and out of here. I forget how I did it, but I know I did it earlier, and it was really cool that you could do it. Been a while, sorry. But yeah, you can drag MIDI in and out, which I thought was really cool. Let's try putting a MIDI file in and see what happens. I'm pretty sure it can go in. There we go, import, boom, done. Sick. And I'm pretty confident you can drag it out as well. So that's pretty cool, and it's something I really appreciated. The presets are crazy. As we saw, the browser is insane. There's thousands. There's got to, I don't know if the actual number's thousands, but it feels like thousands. They take a second to load because it's wavetable based, which we also know from Serum. Wow. Okay, that's fun. All right, so cool. So yeah, I really do like the presets. I think they're really well designed and they sound great. So let's get on to the next part of the synth. I dove right. Oh, so I think RAPID was slept on. This is like a huge upgrade for the synth. They've entered like version 1.7, which is crazy because 1.6 was a huge step behind in terms of graphic design. It just looked antiquated compared to this thing. And yeah, I really like the way they did it. It looks awesome now. It's very modern. Again, a one-tab design, which I think is the future of synths. And it's really clean. I like it a lot. I dove right in to the synth without kind of like reading all the stuff that they told me or the manual or anything like that. And a couple of things I think right off the bat is that the FM options are really good. With Serum, you can only run FM from B, which is 1 FM modulation. And here you can do like, I think you can do a max of like 6, I guess, right? So you can do from B and from C because there's 3 oscillators. And then you can also do it from here. And then you can also feed back into the A and go to C. And yeah, FM is awesome. I really liked it. It's really, really intuitive. Not as powerful as Faceplant, but easier to use and probably all anyone would ever need because Faceplant can get pretty crazy. Filters are routed a little bit differently than I'm used to. So all this stuff seems to go into the filter, which is right up here. One comment, there's not really a lot of crazy filters. I miss Serum. And the fact that there's like a million comb filters, a million weird filters that I don't think anybody knows exactly what every single filter does. And I appreciate appreciate that because it results in some pretty unique sounds. Here, you're kind of dealing with a lot of typical filters, which all sound really good, and then some colored filters, which also sound good, but aren't really anything that's going to result in a crazy, and then only one like super crazy comb filter. So I wish there was more weird comb filters and more weird filters. I like, you know, the Serum reverb filter is like a classic now. And then after that, there's an insert, which you can also use another filter. More filters, the better. The envelopes, the LFO is pretty cool. My one criticism of the LFO is I can't draw my own shape in, which really, really, really is something that I depend on a lot because I like to draw my own little shapes in there and come up with really weird results. I did talk to those guys and they said that's going to be coming pretty soon. So hopefully that comes sooner than later. The effects tab's crazy. There's a lot of effects. There's a lot of... one of the strongest things, the multi-band saturator, you can do a lot with it. It's you can draw your own bands, you can modulate your own bands. It's really cool. And you could do up to 4 bands, so you can modulate all of this. Everything in this synth is pretty much modulated, or can be modulated. And I'll pull up a patch really quick to show you. Oh my God. Everybody's calling today. I need to shut that off for the next video. Sorry, guys. So yeah. I didn't modulate it this time, but you can modulate everything, and everything is a simple drag and drop. So you just click the LFO, drag it onto here, boom, modulate. It's awesome. I really like that. I think that's obviously been a standard for a while that every synth has done since Massive came out. Really cool. And I love the way that sound turned out. It's pretty cool. So immediately drawn to the creative filters. We talked about that. There is like an acid filter, is pretty cool. Effects rack is similar to Serum, but having it on one tab, like I said, is really cool because it allows me to modulate it faster. One shortcoming of Serum, I think, now that we all look back on it, is the fact that there's 2 tabs to go between them. And then back to the 8-layer thing too. We didn't really talk about this, but there's 8 synths built into this thing, right? So I can go over here and I can quickly build another synth and then layer everything together, which is really cool. When it comes to these pieces here, there's not only a it's not only a wavetable synth, but it's also a sampler and also a granular synthesis too, which we'll talk about in a minute. Unison sounds crazy on this thing, goes up to 8 voices, sounds really good. And there's a lot of options for your basic synthesis. There's even like a simple EQ, like a bass and treble EQ. Detune sounds great. And then you have all those warp things that you miss in Phase Plant, which they kind of missed out on. So yeah, there's mirroring. All the stuff that you've used to seeing in Serum is almost all pretty much here. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff borrowed from Serum. There's a lot of stuff from Phase Plant that we really like. It's kind of built into this thing, which is cool for the guys who make bass. So yeah, FX rack, similar to Serum, one tab is cool. Easily reorder with drag and drop. You can reorder these filter effects by dragging and dropping, and it's really cool. Super easy to use, and a cool lineup, including the multi-band saturator we just talked about. And I got really excited because the first thing that I want to know is what can you modulate? And like I said, you can modulate literally everything. And yes, you can do a multi-band limiter in here. It gets crazy. So I really like that about it. Real quick too, just to get it going, let's play through some presets just to kind of show you guys what this thing's capable of. Let me take off my processing for this synth, and we'll just kind of play through a few. Wow, it sounds like old school Zed. Some basses. Merkel, I'll do some basses for you guys, man. A lot of leads. Very EDM with the leads, but they work. There's big leads. There's a lot. There's so many in here. You could go through them for days. Cool. Pianos are cool. So it's cool. It kind of reminds me, because of the layering capabilities and the sampler capabilities, it reminds me of kind of a little bit like Nexus in a sense, where the synths are a mix of samples and real synthesis. Pretty cool. Moving forward, let's see what else I have in my notes. One thing it allows for some pretty crazy processing opportunities to use the send effect to another layer. So you can actually route one layer to another, which was, I always try to think of how I can misuse these products. And there is a send, and I can send things to another layer here, which gives me unlimited effects chains. So now I can now send layer 1 to layer 2, and I can use all these effects yet again, so I don't run out. You can only put one of each effect. So for example, if you have an EQ in here, which I sometimes misuse as a filter as well, you run out. You only get one of those. Now when I go down here and I go to create another EQ, it's blacked out. So to get around that, you can run a send, and you can run a send from layer 1 to 2, and then you can add another EQ. So this allows unlimited in synth processing, which I thought was awesome. And the multi-band saturate is really awesome for that. You can just reintroduce dynamics with the sound. So you can crush something, make it sound really distorted and messed up, and then you can run it into the next layer and make it sound even more crazy by reprocessing it. The only thing that kind of slows me down is that if I modulate, I can't modulate from tab 1 to tab 2. So if I have an LFO shape drawn in here, I can't link that to that. So I have to go in here and I have to draw the same shape again, or copy and paste the settings, which I can do by right clicking and doing copy and then pasting it. So that's sort of a pain, because one thing I like to do is like to move these things around a lot and try to get unexpected results. It would be cool to see like a link button somewhere in here. I don't believe there is one where it links them across all the layers. Cool. There's a crazy reverb algorithm, which everybody's really hyped about Nexus 3 coming out. This has the same reverb algorithm as Nexus 3. They licensed it, and there's a million little reverbs in here, and they all sound really good. That was one strong point I noticed above a lot of other synths. Nexus 2 reverb defined EDM for a while. You heard it in a lot of songs. And yeah, I think this one is pretty strong too. Lots of multi-samples and wavetables. Yes, there's a million wavetables. I don't think we touched into this. And then there's also multi-samples too, which play back samples. So there's like a lot of different keys and a lot of different sounds. There's even like vocals from females in here. So there's a lot of content that comes with the synth, and I thought that was really cool. Resynthesis. This is the craziest feature in here, and I'm not going to go super nerdy in depth, but I did make a patch from this, and this is what it sounds like. Let me pull it open. And that's like a cool drone note. And I love stuff like that that sets a vibe. And what I did was I actually imported a vocal, which you can import your own sounds directly into the synth. And I imported my vocal, and it becomes a granular synth of some sort. It's called Resynthesis, but it sounds very granular. And I got that drone out of it. I think that's one of the most unique features. It would take me too long to go through how to do it, but it was pretty straightforward. You just kind of add sounds. There's a way to import sounds in here that's quite straightforward. And once you do that, I believe you go into here, import, press import, and then you do import resynthesis. And I thought that was one of the coolest things in here. I'll probably use this a lot to make those cool drone notes and stuff. Really good for scoring movies, soundtracks, gaming, and just making drones. The ARP is really cool. We talked about it earlier. You can drag MIDI into it, and it's really powerful. Probably one of the most powerful features in here. Let's see if I can find a better preset. Something that's a little bit more melodic. Actually, the melodies would probably... Wow. I already feel like I'm in Ibiza. So yeah, there you go. You can see that it gets pretty in-depth with the program. The ARP, it can play a full song pretty much from one key, which is crazy. And last but not least, we talked about no LFO shapes. So in conclusion, I really like RAPID. I think if you're in the market for Avenger, I think it's a powerful synth. There's 3 macros. There's all the modulation you'd ever need. I love the synth. I think it's really good. I prefer to do most stuff these days with Romplers. I like Omnisphere a lot. I like a lot of sounds, but my strong points with this is programming it. It's a little different than the other synths, and it results in a unique sound, which I think is cool because everybody knows what Serum sounds like at this point because everybody uses it. The second thing is it does make some great leads. There's some really awesome lead patches in here, and leads tend to be a strong point. I hate programming them, so or tend to be a weak point for me in my music, so I like to use presets for that because I just find that going through them fast results in better results. The cons of this thing, a few things that I talked about. You can't draw your own LFOs, which I know is coming soon. Pretty minor con for some people. For me, it's a kind of a deal breaker, but at the same time, I did work around it. And I wish there was a little bit more creative filters. Other than that, awesome product. I really, really, really like it. There's a lot to get into here. Programming this thing's a beast. Maybe in the future, if you guys want to leave a comment, if you guys want to see how I broke down those bass sounds, maybe we could do that in a future video. But yeah, I really, really like this thing, and I definitely think it's worth checking out. So thank you guys so much and please throw a like if you got something from this video, or even better yet, hit subscribe and join the party, because we're going to be posting a lot of content in the next coming weeks. Peace.